Could you speak to the resources that are available once this passes?
Well, I think I can tell you now, having lived both as a resident and as an elected official through multiple storms, this is the best pre-storm positioning that I have seen at every level. At the local level, every county official I've spoken to is very satisfied with the support they've gotten. It's been a bottom-up effort. I think Governor DeSantis and the state officials have done a phenomenal job of sort of working with them. And then at FEMA, the pre-positioning of the assets and other material that will be necessary has really been very well done. Now, obviously, I think we hope we won't need it, but I think we are prepared with resources from the local government on up to respond during and immediately after the storm.
The better preparation, do you attribute that to lessons learned from past storms?
I think so. I think there's no doubt about that. Unfortunately, we've gotten good at this because we've done it so many times. And one of the things we've really focused on in our last 2 years is oftentimes, FEMA, which comes in to support the state, came in and provided things sometimes the state didn't need. And so when you provide resources the state's not asking for, it becomes a double problem. What do you do with the stuff you have, and how do you get the stuff you need? So I've been pleased that this time around sort of the cues have come from the bottom up, from county and local officials through the state and then up towards FEMA. And we feel really good that we're hoping this will pass, but if it doesn't, that the resources are available. And it's as a result of the lessons we've learned over the last couple of years.
And that's the thing. A lot of anxiety here is this continues to crawl 1 mile per hour, not really budging much. What do you tell the constituents here that are still keeping an eye and some that are on the fence about whether to evacuate or not?
Well, first I tell people these evacuation zones are not created to inconvenience you. They're not put in place to make your life miserable. They're there for a reason, and that is that the science has shown that if a certain storm of a certain type comes in that area, it is prone to flood. And you could have a storm surge event. You could have a combination of things happen. Water is killing a lot more people than the wind, and certainly traps people. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is I think the Hurricane Center has done a great job up to this point of giving us some certainty about the general vicinity of these storms. But every single one of these storms does something as it approaches land that's a little different and not exact. And so we have to be prepared for the fact that we have a major, massive storm just off our coast that's sitting there. And this track that is wide for a reason. It could go out into the ocean, nothing happened. It could come a little closer to the coast and really impact us in ways. And just a few miles of movement could be the difference between some pretty significant damage and just, a bad storm. So I really hope people will continue to be vigilant and be patient. Nobody here controls this. It's nature. It's going to work its way through and just prepare for the worst. And if it doesn't come, then, that's great. We'll be very happy about that.
Two more quick questions. Damage estimates, obviously it's preliminary, but could be in the billions if you're talking between Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas. In terms of federal assistance, what is there? It seems like the Panhandle in many ways is still recovering from Matthew.
It is, and often every storm is different in terms of the type of impact that it has. And some of these areas that are within the hurricane watch and warning have been hit by storms in the last couple of years. So, and damages range from beach renourishment, which is critical to us. We have to make that happen because our beaches are a key part of what drives tourism and our economy, to rebuilding structures and homes. And some have been rebuilt, and they're more resilient. There's seawalls up in some of these places up in Northeast Florida that weren't there a couple of years ago. So we hope that we're going to see the effects of mitigation take place. But ultimately, we know that at some point later this year, if this thing makes landfall or comes close enough anywhere in the southeast United States, that we'll be going back and getting more money to replenish FEMA's accounts and working on these for years. We're still working through Matthew claims from 3 years ago. So it just is what it is. We'll be dealing with it. We're prepared to deal with it. And but right now it's about keeping people safe and not losing any lives.
Absolutely. President Trump offered his support early on. Have you been in touch with him lately, and is he making any new assurances?
Oh, yeah. I've spoken to him twice now, including, I think, yesterday or late the night before. And look, I can't recall during his presidency when we've ever asked anything for Florida that hasn't been granted in terms of the storms. Obviously, he's also focused now on Georgia and South Carolina, North Carolina, some of the other states that might be potentially impacted. But we've already undertaken costs to prepare for the storm, overtime, mobilizing National Guard units, et cetera. And there'll be some reimbursements there for that. That's what FEMA and the federal government does. And he has promised those full resources. And has always delivered in the past, and so obviously, we'll deal with that when it comes. But right now, we just want to get through the next 72 hours with everybody safe and being able to say no one lost their life.
All right, Senator Rubio, thank you so much for your time. Be safe out there.
Thank you.